Diego County is home to the largest concentration of U.S. military in the world. We're strategically located to respond to any conflict quickly, and many of our country's key defense assets are stationed right here. From Camp Pendleton to Naval Base Coronado and everywhere in between, there are hundreds of thousands of active duty military, veterans, and civilians living and working here. Tonight, we're taking an in-depth look at the industry and its impact locally. We're also sitting down with a group of area veterans for a candid discussion about some of the issues military families face and what they think can be done to better support our service members. Our special coverage starts with ABC 10 News investigative reporter Austin Grabish.
In San Diego, the military is always ready to jump into action. America's finest city is the home port of the Navy's Pacific Fleet. The iconic USS Midway is docked here and serves as a scenic landing for paratroopers. But it's Camp Pendleton that gives a clue San Diego is a military town. It's one of the first things you see when driving into the county.
Our military presence here is extremely significant.
Retired Navy fighter pilot Jim Kidrick is passionate about sharing the military story. He's CEO of the San Diego Air and Space Museum.
If we ever went to an all-out war, San Diego is one of the targets. There's no doubt about that because it's so valuable.
Valuable because San Diego is the largest concentration of the military in the entire world. An estimated 110,000 active duty service members are based here. 350,000 civilians work in defense-related jobs, and a quarter of the country's active duty Marines are here. They train at MCAS Miramar and Camp Pendleton. At Naval Base Coronado, the most elite will become Navy SEALs. Only a quarter of candidates survive the grueling and sometimes deadly Hell Week that tests physical endurance and mental toughness. Coronado is also home to helicopter squadrons. Here, sailors conduct search and rescue training. Nearby at Naval Base Point Loma are some of the most capable attack submarines in the world.
There's well over $50 billion added to the economy every year with what we have.
Kidrick says San Diego has always welcomed the military, and
I can tell you, having been stationed here multiple times, the military cares about San Diego.
An impressive military town that's more than just beautiful. Austin Grabish, ABC 10 News.
Welcome. I'm Lindsay Pena at Costera on Harbor Island. San Diego County's military is one of our region's most valuable assets. And today I'm joined by a group of veterans to discuss the issues that matter to them. Before we begin, we want to introduce everyone. We begin with Chad Lunsford, a recently retired Master Chief in the U.S. Navy who served for 30 years. Joey Jerome, a retired Navy chief. Joe Yordi, Navy veteran and member of the LGBTQ+ community. Ashley Kamak, CEO of 0800 and a military spouse. Miss Iris Wilkins, Marine Corps veteran and current welding teaching assistant at Workshops for Warriors. And last but certainly not least, Bob Lawrence, a former military reporter and Channel 10 colleague. Thank you. Thank you all for being here and giving us your time. We want to dive right into our questions. The first is posed to everyone, so anyone can answer. How did you imagine military life before you joined, and what were some of your perceptions after?
Well, I'll start, because when I joined the military, there was a lottery. And so everyone was 1A. And I was a student at the time. That student deferment got canceled. I was 1A looking at the draft. Vietnam was going still strong. So I decided, I said, I'm going to make my own choice and join instead of them choosing for me. So, and then I didn't have any perceptions of the military other than who I saw coming back from combat. And I knew I didn't want to be that. Yeah. So, yeah, it was sobering. It really was. Yeah.
When I initially decided to enlist in the Marine Corps, it was something I wanted to do to better my future. I come from a family of immigrants, and my older brother had joined the Army, so I thought that was a great way to kind of like go find a new career path, a new different style of life for me and probably my one-day family. So I enlisted in the Marine Corps, became a welder. It was something I thought was really interesting as a woman to do. And when I got out, I was really thankful for some of like the benefits I received afterwards, like being able to use my GI Bill, being able to have insurance, something that I didn't grow up having.
Yeah. Recently retired after a very long career.
So I didn't know anything about the Navy or the military as a whole. Went into a recruiting office in Fontana, California, and all branches were there, and the Navy was able to offer a specific job, so I joined, and honestly, it's been amazing for me and my family. Couldn't be more thankful. It's been a great experience.
I was working for my father in New Orleans, and my dad was a Marine in Korea, and it was mid-'80s, right in the recession time, and he had a construction company, and one day I could tell he was always struggling, and then one day he asked me, he says, "Do you ever think about the military?" And it was just like, 2 weeks later, I was in a recruiting office getting my physical done, and then I was shipped off. So, but it was just by suggestion of my dad. So,
Changed the course of your life.
my whole life.
Some of you have recently retired, and some of you have been out of the service for a while now. What would you say was the most challenging thing for you while transitioning back to civilian life?
Recently retired, we were talking, is there's no guidebook for it. So the problem with it is when you're active duty transitioning out, there's a lot that happens and it's not overly enjoyable, and then you're out and you're happy. So you never go back because you're out to give them the feedback. So there's not a really good codified book. We have classes, we have different entities that help the military. It's good, but it could be better. There could be a better piece that helps us transition, because like in my case, 32 years as an adult, I've been told what to do by the military. So now I'm gonna go into civilian employment. Don't even really know what it looks like. It's just a different animal that you think you're prepared for, but you're not.
Yeah.
I think that I watched my husband struggle with understanding what that difference would be when he took on that civilian role. And I watched him struggle with things that he was told to do every day for 20 plus years. But I saw him excited to reacclimate with the community and really come home and be home and feel that family again that he would lose every time he would deploy. So I think I watched my loved one really shift that mindset of, I know everything that's going to happen on a day-to-day. I know how to dress, I know how to talk, I know how to react, I know how to do my technical job, to shifting to, I can make my own decisions and I can go into my community and I can be there for my family and I can choose a post-military career in a field that I want to do, that I love to do, and really take those hard and soft skills from the military and apply those in a different way.
Yeah.
You know, I would really like to jump in on this question. From my own personal experience and through other veterans that I know, veteran homelessness is actually something pretty common, or just finding the ability or the resources to prevent going homeless. So oftentimes veterans find themselves in positions where they're couch surfing, and some might even have families, and they can't access these resources until they've already spent their first days on the street. So along with transitioning in our TRS programs that we have, just knowing what resources are available to you or how to access these as a preventative measure would be really helpful, I feel like.
I got out almost 18 years ago, and I'm only now taking advantage of VA benefits that I was entitled to for the entire 18 years. Because in the military, no one told me that I was entitled to those benefits, and I encourage anyone watching this to ask a lot of questions and to explore what those benefits might be. Yeah. And I'm happy to have them go. I just opened a business, and I no longer have an employer, so having access to those benefits is incredibly valuable. So.
Everything in the military is some SOP, something. If there was something that everybody followed and not this service organization or that service organization, or this military person's experience versus that military person's experience, but there's some type of standardized procedure to know what your benefits are, know how to go and get your GI Bill or your disability and stuff like that. So
I would just say over the years that I've covered the military and doing that, there's a lot that's thrown out to the transitioning veteran. And it's a lot to take in. I mean, you're literally overwhelmed. You're right. Every day for how many years, you're told what to wear, where to go, and what to do. And now you're told nothing.
Yeah.
So, and there's a lot to digest when you transition out. And I witnessed that on the young guys and young women who I saw transition out. But San Diego's fortunate. There's a lot of help here if you know where to look.
Coming up after the break, how do the current economic conditions impact the wallets of people in the military that you still know right now and those of you who are out? So, no secret that San Diego is a very expensive place to live. How do the current economic conditions impact the wallets of people in the military that you still know right now and those of you who are out?
Cost of living's rough. Normal cost increases for sailors, service members doesn't keep up, especially if you're a younger sailor, maybe junior in pay grade, and you've got a family trying to live anywhere close to San Diego. Plus, San Diego itself has a bit of a housing crisis going on, so just finding a place. Rent is well above BAH in most cases, so it's hard. Solutions-wise, I don't know. I'm sure somebody smarter than me's looked at it at one point, but why is active duty or military pay taxed? That little bit of money back in a sailor's pocket or a service member's pocket would make a huge quality of life improvement. So if people are looking for ways to fix it, can't change how expensive San Diego is, but maybe putting a little bit of money back in a service member's pocket for their family would be beneficial.
I think it was sobering for me, covering the military, to actually see E3s and below in a food line, having to have assistance in order to feed their family. And that was sobering to me. It was like, you're protecting our country. Why is it you have to stand in line and get food? Thank God there are programs that help. But to me, that was sobering and indicative of what San Diego is about. San Diego is very expensive, no question.
And going with that, I worked for the Armed Services YMCA way back when, and it wasn't just the E3s in line. There were senior enlisted personnel and officers in the line too, because it costs to live here. So
yeah.
Ashley, I want to have you answer because you probably can speak to that,
I think
perspective.
Both from a family perspective and as the CEO of a nonprofit, we're looking at the cost of living here, but really working through assessing what the challenge is. Are we reaching service members far enough in advance to be able to give some education and proactive support to understanding this market? When you're in the military, you're very focused on the mission. And when you leave the military, you now are outside those lines, and this is all new to them. So though we know there's a housing crisis and we know the cost of living is expensive, to navigate support programs it's just as hard. So we really take a really hard look at that, and I think there are a lot of smart people out there that are doing a lot of research to help all of us, whether we're nonprofits, government, to really have an understanding of where we can place that support. But it is affecting those staying here, and I think San Diego, we want our military to stay here. We have invested so much in them to train them. They're amazing at what they do. They have great amount of skill sets to provide to our county, our state, and our nation, and cities want them to be residents. But when these costs increase so much, it's almost impossible. Yeah. So connecting to them early and really trying to put information in front of them so they can make those decisions. What we're seeing, though, is that the family, essentially, to live in San Diego County, you have to be a dual income family, and you really have to approach the transition together. And so it's really important to understand that the whole family is transitioning back into the community that might not have been home from the start, but they wanted to be home post-military service.
Iris, do you have anything to add to that? I mean, you brought up the issue of a lot of veterans becoming homeless. Is that because we live in such a...
I believe so.
Yeah.
There was many times, like how you had mentioned earlier, there's junior enlisted that are in lines trying to either get food assistance or go through WIC. But even then, that only goes so far. Like, you're only qualified for a certain amount of time to use those type of resources, depending on what they are. But cost of living here is definitely, I would feel like, an issue. And I grew up in San Diego my whole life. So I left, came back, and it was kind of difficult for me when I realized I had to leave the city that I grew up in so I can find more affordable housing. And not only that, find a suitable school for my children to go to as well. So it's something that I feel like definitely needs to be kind of looked at, and like just help for both active duty and veterans to either get some of that assistance for cost of living. I feel like that might be a good solution.
Coming up after the break, you served during Don't Ask, Don't Tell. If you could, take us back to that time and just share with us some of the challenges that you personally faced.